Joining me right now is Kevin Tanner. We are talking to all the candidates for the 9th District congressional race. We talked to the two Democrats last Friday, and then we've spent the week talking to the Republican candidates. Welcome, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing very well. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
For folks that may not know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, that's great. I live over in Dawson County, born and raised there, farm the same land that's been in my family for over 160 years. We have a broiler farm on that property. I'm also a light commercial contractor. Build in the past, for 20 years, I ran a law enforcement agency, and then after that, I was a county manager. One of the things during this downturn we're in now, I led county government through a very deep recession. That was a challenge. I think it prepared me very well for some of the things we're facing today at the state and federal level. I married my wife Stacy for 22 years this July. We have 4 beautiful daughters and 2 grandsons. Our oldest daughter came to us an unconventional way. We took her in when she was around 10th grade and from foster care, raised her, and gave her away at her wedding, and she has given us 2 beautiful grandsons with her husband. Our other daughters, Caitlin, Abby, and Chloe. Caitlin will be going to the University of Georgia this fall, and then I have one that'll be a junior. My youngest will be in 7th grade. So, and then I serve in the Georgia State House for 8 years, chair of the Transportation Committee. And then last year I was honored by Governor Kemp to be appointed to chair of the Mental Health Reform Commission, which is something near and dear to my heart. And we've attempted to tackle that issue and look forward to continuing to work on that.
So why did you decide to run for this seat?
Well, it was not something I was looking to do. I'm very happy and been very satisfied with my current position in the Georgia House. I enjoy being at home at night to take care of my chickens and my farm and my businesses. I've started and ran several successful businesses and sold several businesses. So I enjoy my life very well. But when Doug Collins decided not to seek re-election for his current seat, I had quite a few leaders, sheriffs and former Governor Nathan Deal and others come to me and asked me to consider running. They felt like that they needed a strong, conservative, but an effective leader in Washington. And, we have a lot of talking heads in Washington that's not really getting anything done. So I've got a proven track record of being effective. Made the decision, quite honestly, not to run for the seat simply because I enjoyed what I'm doing. But after a couple of sleepless nights, I decided to be obedient to my faith and my Lord and decided to run. And I've had peace about that decision ever since. I've asked myself, if I'm not willing to offer myself up to service and I'm not willing to go and use the God-given talents I've had in my background, how can I ask anybody else to do that? So I'm going to give it everything I got, and it'll be up to the people of the 9th Congressional District. But if I'm blessed to go to Washington, I promise to be the most conservative but effective leader that we have there fighting for the values of the 9th Congressional District.
Because this is the third most conservative district. Some people say it's the most conservative district. I think one of the challenges we've seen, since Governor Deal was actually the congressman, is that, this is a safe district. So you can be bold about things. And I would like to see, whether it's the 9th District or even the 8th to some degree where they hardly have any opposition, see people be more bold about things, go out on a limb, take chances, because we're in a mess right now. And it's very different than when you even qualified.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing at the changes that's occurred in the world since qualifying date with the coronavirus. Our national debt is our biggest threat to national security. No one wants to talk about spending and cutting spending and controlling spending, because at the end of every cut is a program that someone cares about. But we've got to bring spending under control in this country. We need a balanced budget amendment, because I think that's the only way we're actually going to bring spending under control. But at the end of the day, you have to be bold. But you have to be effective, too. We can get on the CNN or Fox News or the radio station and we can talk about all these things, but if we don't bring forward real policy and real changes and be effective and get them approved, then we're just another talking head. And that's one of the things I've tried not to do in Atlanta, is just complain. I try to actually bring forward positive policy. One of the things I kept complaining about as a grassroots leader in the Republican Party for 2 decades or longer now, chairman of the Republican Party on the district committee for many years. During the time the Democrats were in control, and then when Obama was president, we complained all the time. The Republicans complained about Obamacare. We complained about the policies they were putting forward. But one of the things that I got upset about is they never had any alternative solutions. And then we get in control and we squander the opportunity to bring forward good policies. So I think that we need to spend some time developing good policy and actually getting something done that's on the conservative side of the arena for the values that we have. And we have a lot of issues in Washington, and it's going to take some bold leaders that can be effective to make changes, and President Trump needs that support more than ever.
You know, I used to think you could, there was a lot of talk about balancing in 10 years and trying to get things back on track again. I think we're so far down that track. We've spent twice as much as what we're going to take in this year, and I'm talking about the federal government. So I think it's more like a mortgage, like a 30-year mortgage now, where we've got to really make changes. And how do you do that when you got this back and forth, that you get some progress made and then the other party gets in power and you lose it and it just goes back and forth?
Well, I think you're exactly right. I don't think there's any way that we're going to be able to bring down the debt in 10 years. I think this is a long-term problem, long-term solution. We didn't get into it overnight. We're not going to get out of it overnight. But I think you hit on it. If we just talk about it, we may have a great year. We may have a good Congress. We bring down the deficit. But then next year, 2 years, you get a whole new group of folks in Washington with different priorities, and it's spin. So I think that's why it's so important to push a balanced budget amendment. The other thing that I have been very strong about is term limits in Washington. I think that we've got to send people to Washington that really could care less about getting reelected. They're there for the right reasons, to do the right things. I tell folks I'm not the best politician. I'm a policy guy. I like to talk about policy. I like to talk about issues. I don't like just to do the 30-second sound bites. I want to dig down deep and really address issues. And I think that's what we need in Washington, and that's what we're missing, because we just continue to send politicians. We get into this back and forth. Well, who's the most conservative? Who's the most conservative? Everyone running for this seat philosophically probably has pretty close to the same belief system. So it really comes down to who can actually deliver and actually get something done. And I think that's what sets me apart. I look at Washington, I look at President Trump, and I knew, and I told folks that sat around me in the Georgia House, I said, when he first announced, I said, he'll be our president. And they all told me I was crazy. I said, people are so tired of the same old, same old. And that's what we're going to continue to get if we send those types of people to Washington. We don't need more attorneys. We don't need more career politicians. We need business-minded folks in Washington.
So tell people how they can get more information about you and how they can help.
Yeah, my website's votekevintanner.com, votekevintanner.com. My personal cell phone number is 678-776-5059. You can call me anytime. Take a look at our website. Look forward to working and talking with each of you, and I ask that you continue to pray for our nation on this National Day of Prayer, and ask for your prayers for me and my family as we go through this election, and I'll continue to pray for each of you. Thank you for having me, Martha.
Thank you.